and we have had quite the weekend. Got a weekend haul. Got about I want to say about 8 PlayStation 2 games, and this is a pretty good haul. I would say this entire stack cost me roughly 250, and there are some solid titles in this stack. So I'm gonna spend about 10-15 minutes just going through the stack of PS2 games that I picked up today, show you guys what I got, and get your guys' opinion. There's really not as much out there that I'm seeing, but I'll be honest, this weekend haul was pretty good. So I'll show you the 8 games that I picked up, and you guys can let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it really quick. You guys can also let me know what you've picked up this weekend. What is it? Is this the first weekend in November? No, I think this is the second weekend in November. So um, shorter days, the yard sales and the flea markets and things like that probably aren't as jam packed. There's not as much, there's just not as much out there. So to me, getting this stack for roughly around 250 was pretty cool. So let's go through it. So first pickup was this copy of Family Guy. Uh, I wasn't too thrilled with the sticker here on the side, but it is what it is. I've seen this game before. I do have the Family. I feel like I have Family Guy on the PlayStation 3 as well, but I've never had the PlayStation 2 version, so I'm kind of interested to see what this version is going to be like. So pick this one up. Then also got a copy of Silent Hill 2 in this haul. So Silent Hill 2 is a pretty cool pickup. I'll be honest with you, just being able to get it in this bundle of games that I picked up. Complete in box, by the way. Next up, Silent Hill for the Room. Again, another complete in box pickup. Just a really sick haul. Like I said, 250 for the entire stack. And I would say that probably these 2 games, for the most part, pretty much cover everything else that's in this bundle. So we have Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 4. We have a pretty clean copy of Beautiful Joe in this PS2 haul. I'm a big fan of Beautiful Joe. I didn't have Beautiful Joe Part 1 on the PlayStation 2. I did have it on the GameCube, but my Beautiful Joe 2 is on the PlayStation 2. So was glad to add this one into the collection. Fatal Frame 3, another interesting pickup for me as well. I've had Fatal Frame 2 on both the Xbox and the PlayStation 2 for some time now. So being able to snag a copy of Fatal Frame 3 was actually really cool. I used to have Fatal Frame 3 in the collection, but got rid of that copy. Actually, I traded my copy of Fatal Frame 3 away so that I could pick up some Sega CD games. Next up, we have Manhunt on the PlayStation 2. Another solid pickup. It's a bunch of horror, just a bunch of horror games, honestly, in this haul. So Manhunt, and then we have Manhunt 2 in the haul as well. So another pretty solid pickup there as well. And then I think the last one is this copy of Resident Evil Code Veronica X. I would say the haul is pretty much about 70-30 when it comes to completeness. Silent Hill 2, Family Guy, Silent Hill 4, and I think Beautiful Joe. Those were all complete in box games. But the Manhunt games and Fatal Frame 3, I think, were not, those were not complete. So, but other than that, I mean, like I said, 250 for the entire haul, including the Manhunt games, Fatal Frame 3, Silent Hill 4, Silent Hill 2. So overall, a pretty decent weekend. Rational Morality says disc rot. Yeah, disc rot is a real thing. Disc rot happens. Games decay over time. I think a lot of factors play into that when it comes to disc rot. Temperature, moisture, a lot of factors come into that. I don't know if all discs are doomed to suffer from disc rot. I don't know if there's anything that you can do to prevent or prolong the life, to prevent disc rot or prolong the life of a disc. But most of these discs at this point are 20 to 30 years old. You know what I mean? So they're all going to eventually see some type of breakdown at some point. Although a lot of them, from what I've seen, a lot of these are actually in pretty solid condition. Haven't seen any signs. Look, I can't even get this thing out. Haven't seen any real signs of disc rot here. So, I mean, the discs look pretty solid. Most of my PlayStation 2 discs, I got to be honest, they look really good. They don't really have a lot of really any issues. I will say with PlayStation 1 is it is a little bit different. Some PlayStation 1 games do show signs that they could be breaking down. Like some of my PlayStation 1, I'll be honest with you, like certain PlayStation 1 games, and what I notice is that the ones that show the most like wear or potential for disc rot are the PlayStation 1 games that have almost like that mirror finish. And I think those are usually like the greatest hits version of games. So those are the ones that I tend to keep my eye on just for disc rot. But for the most part, I don't really struggle with that. Muff VRGT says, "Do you have Bully by Rockstar Games?" I don't have Bully in my collection. That is a game that I would like to get. I would like to get Bully. I never run across a clean copy of Bully. Like all the copies of Bully that I run into, they're all like run down completely into the ground. They're just like absolutely just destroyed. So that's why I never really get them. But I would like to get a copy for sure. Um Rational Morality says all discs. Ivan says sad times we live in when physical media is degrading. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think what's even more sad is that cartridge-based games, I think they're gonna outlive disc-based games. I feel like my Super Nintendo games will outlive like my PlayStation 1 collection. Even my Genesis collection, I feel like it's gonna outlive my PlayStation 1 collection. I think my PS1 collection is for sure the collection that has the most potential for disc rot. Out of my Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, those discs for some reason just show the most potential for disc rot. Jim120240 says picked up Pizza Tower on Switch. They had it on GameStop. Okay, Pizza Tower. All right, I'll have to check that one out. I've never heard of. I don't know if I've ever heard of Pizza Tower. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Haven't heard of Pizza Tower yet. Let's see. Rational Morality says they are working on a new disc format that will last much longer, but the market for it is small. They're probably a couple generations too late. They should have they should have been put that out. Awesome Aaron 2000. I'd like to think the disc rot problem is a bit overblown. I think it is. I think if you're someone who's against physical media, you're going to point to disc rot. It's the same way people who are against like digital downloads point to servers being shut down. You'll have a lot of people who say, "Oh, I'm not going to collect for the PlayStation 4 because they'll shut the servers down." Or "I'm not going to collect for the PlayStation 5 because they'll shut the servers down." Like it's going to be years, if not decades, before they shut those servers down. Like they're not shutting the Switch servers down anytime soon. We got a long way to go before they shut those servers down. And in some cases, I don't know if we'll even be around by the time they shut some of those servers down. I think that the servers that they have shut down to this point are servers that most people just aren't using at this point. I mean, how many people in 2025 do you think would be accessing like the Wii eShop, like for the on the Nintendo Wii? Like not many. How many people do you think would still be accessing like the DS store and the 3DS store? Yeah, you have your diehard community of people who would still probably try to access those things. But for the most part, the consumer and user base just isn't there. Like it's not there enough for them to, continue to host these platforms and host these servers. So it kind of makes sense that they shut them down. On top of the fact that a lot of these games are being re-released and being brought to more modern platforms. So a lot of the stuff that you would have bought on the Wii eShop or DS eShop or any of those shops, a lot of those games you probably could get on the Switch, platform at this point. So it really doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for them to invest in that. But, I totally get why people would point to disc rot if you're like a proponent for like emulation and things like that, or if you're just not for physical. I'm still a physical collector for sure. With this whole entire haul, the games that are going to be staying in my collection are for sure Beautiful Joe, the Manhunt games, Manhunt 1, Manhunt 2. These three for sure are going to stay in the collection. Fatal Frame 3 is also going to stay in the collection for sure. This one is going to be added in. Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 4, these might go for trade bait, so I might use these as trade bait. And then you have Silent Hill and Family Guy, which will also be going into the collection. You know what's crazy? Like, I never really understood why the Code Veronica X on the PlayStation 2 is like 15 bucks, but Code Veronica X on the GameCube is 200 bucks. I don't know why that is. If somebody knows why that is, please let me know down in the comments. If there's any distinct difference between the PlayStation 2 version of Code Veronica X and the GameCube version of Code Veronica X, I'd really love to know it. This version of Code Veronica X, I think this is, what is this? This is the 5th anniversary edition. This one comes with the game as well as the Devil May Cry bonus disc. So yeah, I just don't know. Somebody let me know. Why is the GameCube version of this game so much more expensive? What's the rarest game you own? That's a good question. That comes from Rob Jeff 622. The rarest game I own. You know what? To answer this question, we're gonna have to take a walk over to the wall. So the rarest game that I own, it might be a tie. So the rarest game that I own is probably this PAL game right here. Probably not one that many of you have ever heard of, but this is a game called Rapid Reload for the original PlayStation. You need a PAL PlayStation to play this game unless you have like some type of modded PlayStation 1. But this is a very cool game. This is like the European version of like Metal Slug in a way. It plays a lot like Metal Slug. This game would be what you would get if Metal Slug and Gunstar Heroes had a baby together, called like Gunstar Slug or Metal Heroes or something like that. Like, this is honestly a very cool game. Yeah, this is a very, very cool game. One that I would highly, highly recommend. But it is probably one of the rarest, if not the rarest games in my collection, because there are a lot of copies of this game in Japan, and the Japanese version of this game is called Gunner's Heaven. But there's a lot of dialogue in this game, and that's why I did not get the Japanese version, because at least with the PAL version, I can understand like what they're saying. I can read the text. So this is one of the rarest games I would say that I have in my collection. Rapid Reload for sure is up there when it comes to rarity. If I had to say a close second runner-up in terms of rarity would probably be my favorite shoot 'em up of all time, and that would be Hyperduel. So this is probably like my second or third most rare game in my collection for sure. For those of you who have never heard of this game, Hyperduel is a very cool shoot 'em up. It's a side scroller where you have the ability to transform between a spaceship and like a mech fighter at will. So you have like that ability there. And then you also get to pick up like these helper fighter pilots. So you can either pick up like miniature mech fighters or other planes to assist you in the battle. So this is a really, really cool one. Probably definitely one of the more rare games in my collection. So it's funny, like 2 of the rarest games in my collection are import games. That's pretty funny. Let me see. Let me catch up on some of the comments. Let's see. Jim says, I found that yesterday at a yard sale for $2. I'm not sure which game you're talking about. It's more like Gunstar. Rational Morality, you're probably right. It is more like Gunstar. It is kind of more like Gunstar than Metal Slug. I would agree with you there. Or if you've ever heard of this game, Commando Steel Disaster, it's kind of like Commando Steel Disaster in a sense. If you've ever played this game, Rapid Reload plays a lot like this game. This is probably one of the more rare DS games that I have in my collection, but I would say Rapid Reload plays like a combination between Commando Steel Disaster and Gunstar Heroes. All really great run and gun shoot 'em up games. Love those games. Let's see. Never heard of that game before. Must be rare. PAL version runs 16% slower. Wow, I didn't know that. Repent, for the judgment of the wrath of the Lamb is coming soon, everyone. Okay. Rarest PS2 game. What is my rarest PS2 game? So here's the PS2 collection. My rarest PlayStation 2 game would probably be Rule of Rose. So Rule of Rose is probably, and I don't even know if it's rare like that, but it's probably the rarest. I mean, you could really take your pick. I guess on one hand, you could say Rule of Rose, although I don't think Rule of Rose is really that rare. I just think it's really expensive more than it is rare. But Rule of Rose is probably the rarest PlayStation 2 game that I have. Outside of Rule of Rose, I mean, the Silent Hill games are expensive, but they're not rare. Like, I've ran into so many copies of these games a bunch. I don't run into Shattered Memories that much, but I have run into copies of Shattered Memories. Probably Blood Will Tell is pretty rare in Futurama. Oh, no, I'm lying. Oops. Sorry, I totally forgot I had this in my collection. This is not nearly as expensive as Rule of Rose, but it is probably more rare. And this is me just answering the question. But Robot Alchemic Drive, this is probably one of the rarest PlayStation 2 games I have in my collection, for sure. You just don't see this game a lot complete in box. I wish I had a better manual in here. I'm not going to open it, but I wish the manual was better on this one, but it is complete. Yeah, probably one of the more rare PlayStation 2 games for sure. Obviously you see Futurama right there. So I've got a few rare ones on the PlayStation 2. Let's see. I remember Area 51 for PlayStation 2 being really good. Area 51 was really good. I prefer it in the arcade though. I grew up playing Area 51 in the arcade. It was one of like my favorite arcade games of all time. Seriously, light gun shooters in the arcade were unmatched back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. We used to love those for sure. Chris Espinosa says, love your live stream. Keep up the good work. Where do you find most of your rare games? And do you just go to a lot of shops to find rare games? And I'm looking for this rare game called Runabout 2. Okay, so a few questions you had in there. Let's see. Where do you go? Do you just go? So a lot of my rare games, and I know some of you guys are gonna hate me when I say this, but a lot of my rare games I've gotten at GameStop. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. A lot of my rare games I have found at GameStop. So that's part one. But it depends on what type of rare game you're talking about. If you want rare GameCube games, if you want rare PlayStation 2 games, and even in some cases like rare PlayStation 1 games, a lot of those can be found at GameStop. What you're not going to find at GameStop are rare Sega Saturn games, or like Sega CD games. Now, I forgot to mention, just going back to the question of what are the rarest games in my collection, I forgot to mention Burning Rangers. This is definitely one of the more rare games in my collection as well. It's a Sega Saturn game. Probably up there in terms of like top 5 rare games in my collection. Burning Rangers is definitely one of them. And then probably the last, or maybe this might be even more rare than Rule of Rose, would probably be Last Resort. Complete in box. A really cool shoot 'em up for the Neo Geo AES. I only have 3 Neo Geo AES games. Last Resort, Magician Lord, and I have Alpha Mission 2. Unfortunately, I don't have a case for Alpha Mission 2, which sucks, but it is what it is. So that answers that question. And I'm looking for this rare game called Runabout 2. I've never heard of that game, so I don't have Rarest PSP game. Okay, so what's my rarest PSP game? Well, you're looking at my PSP collection right here. And if I had to say what my rarest PSP game is, it would probably be this game right here. A really cool game at that. Ken Cabancho Badass Rumble. This is a sick 3D beat 'em up game for sure. Like, this is definitely an awesome 3D beat 'em up. This game does not get enough love. It's an Atlas game at that. It's like an RPG beat 'em up. Really cool, interesting story. If you have a PSP, I highly recommend you get this one. This is a sick one. So that would probably be one of my rarest. I have another rare game, but I don't really play. I've never played it. I'll be perfectly honest. And that's Hexy's Force. I know Hexy's Force is definitely one of those like rare RPGs. I do have that one in the collection. Steambot Chronicles is pretty rare too, but you know, I would say Hexy's Force and Ken Cabancho are probably two of my rarest PSP games. Jim says, do you have Crawl for PS4? I've been looking for that. I don't have Crawl for PS4. I don't really collect for the PS4 like that. Just not a... Your personal recommendation for enjoyable Switch games? Oh man, okay. So for that, we got to go back to the chair. Enjoyable Switch games. I've got a few we can talk about here because I was actually going through my Switch. So enjoyable Switch games. Whew. Well, let's talk about them. We've got a stack right here. Valfaris, if you like run and gun shooters, this is a fun one. I don't know much about Travis Strikes Again. Damn, we'll skip that. If you haven't picked this up yet, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, that's another really good one. Those are both enjoyable. Ray Storm Ray Crisis, this is definitely a fun one if you like shoot 'em ups. What else do we have here? Breath of the Wild. You guys know about Breath of the Wild. I'm not gonna bore you with that. So we've got that stack over there. What else do we got? R-Type Final 2, if you're into shoot 'em ups like that. Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle. I was almost gonna sell this, and now I'm rethinking keeping this one in the collection, to be honest with you. But Attack on Titan 2 is definitely an enjoyable one. What else? If you like beat 'em ups, I like beat 'em ups. Fight and Rage. I kind of crapped on this game a little bit, but I needed to play it a little bit more. This is a really cool beat 'em up. If you want to get healthy, Ring Fit Adventure is fun. Ton of fun. You can play it with the family. Definitely recommend that one as well. Another recent one, Rita's Rewind, for sure. This is one that you'll want to look into. If you want a one-player game that has a really good story and really fun and engaging action gameplay, Astral Chain is up there. This is like an OG Switch game that doesn't get enough love and attention, and I'm hoping that a sequel to this game comes out. This is a really good game, really cool story, really good fighting mechanics. It's a hack and slasher. It plays like a hack and slasher. So if you're looking for an enjoyable like game just to dive into that's not hard to find or isn't super expensive, Astral Chain is up there. I highly recommend Astral Chain. Another game that it's on my shelf, but I'm not gonna go get it, is Mighty Goose. You guys need to go check out Mighty Goose. If you're a fan of like Metal Slug, you will really like Mighty Goose. Go find Mighty Goose. It's not an expensive Switch game at all, but it's a ton of fun. You'll enjoy it. And then one that I've talked about a lot on my channel, Hunt Down. Gotta play some Hunt Down. Hunt Down is a really fun game. I've beaten Hunt Down multiple times. When you beat the game, you're able to unlock different modes like arcade mode and stuff. I highly recommend you go play Hunt Down. Another Switch game, this is the one that I would say, if I had to say, forget all the games that I just mentioned and only get this one game, is Katana Zero. I've talked about this game before. There's no physical version of it yet. You can only download it. It's probably like, I don't know, maybe 15 bucks on the eShop. I don't know. I've had it for years now on my Switch. But Katana Zero's, poof, I mean, man, top 3 Switch games I've ever played. The story is top tier, like super engaging. It's so trippy. It's like mind-bending Black Mirror type stuff. Like, you really like it. And you wouldn't think that the story could deliver that way because it is delivered in this like 2D pixel art style. But even with it being in a 2D pixel art style, it's like some real mind bending stuff. Like you guys really got to play it because Hana Zero is a great game. So those would be my collection or my Switch recommendations for you. Um, let's see. What a cool collection. I appreciate that. Do you remember a game called Test Drive Eve of Destruction? That was a fun game on the PS2. Love you, man. You're cool. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Test Drive, I remember Test Drive. I didn't play a lot of those games like Test Drive, Driver. The only real racing games I played a lot as a kid were Need for Speed 1, 2, and 3. I always had to use the McLaren. And then Moto, is it Jet Moto or Moto GP? One of those. It's like a motorcycle game. I played that a lot. But I played that on PC. I played a lot of that on PC. A lot of racing games on PC. Let's see. The world's gotta have losers too. Okay. Favorite console to collect for? Man, that's a good question. Favorite console to collect for? That's a good question. Um, I don't know. That's tough. That's just tough. That's really tough. I would, but if I had to just give you one right now, I would probably say the PlayStation 2, just because there's so much good stuff on the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 is a lot of fun to collect for. Um, because we're at a point now with the PlayStation 2 where there's a lot of games still left available in the wild. You can still find a lot of PlayStation 2 stuff. So it's definitely cool. And every time I think I know like the entire PlayStation 2 library, I see a game that I've never heard of before. So I think that's also what makes the PlayStation 2 fun because there's just so much to discover on the console. But I am getting to a point where I'm getting all of the retro stuff that I really want, and I probably within the next year or two will return to Switch collecting. So and I would say the Switch is probably like if I were to be collecting for the Switch, it'd be hella fun. It'd be so much. I'm just not collecting for the Switch like that. But if I was, man, it would be so much fun. Like, there's just so much to get on the Switch, man. I mean, you could just pick one category of games to buy. Like if I were to like start collecting for the Switch again today, I would only collect modern retro. Like that would be the only types of games that I would get. So whether they're new games that are modeled after retro games or whether they're retro ports to the platform, like how they've brought the Darius games and like Radiant Silvergun and Batsugun and Rocket Knight and Gargoyles and all the Castlevania 2D games and the Contra games and all that stuff, I'd be stacking up all that stuff because that's where those franchises are gonna live on. You know what I mean? Even if people forget about like Contra on the Nintendo or Contra Alien Wars on the Super Nintendo, or even if people forget about like Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo, all those classic games will live on through the Switch. Let's see. Native Guy, what up, 2K? Just now opened a package I got from GameStop. Got Scalar with no manual, but I'll see what's good for the first time. Shout out to you for this find. Hey man, shout out to you, man. Scholar is actually a pretty good game. I'm not even gonna lie. It sucks that you didn't get a manual, but look, you and I, Native Guy, are in the same boat today because I picked up a bunch of games from GameStop today, and 3 of them have no manual. Fatal Frame 3, Manhunt 2, and Manhunt. So the cases are in great condition, but these 3 had no manual. So it was a bit of a bummer. The only reason why I wasn't mad was because I got every game that you see here in this stack, including the Manhunt games, the Fatal Frame games, Code Veronica X, and Silent Hill 4 and Silent Hill 2. This whole stack cost me $250. So it was a really cool GameStop haul today, and these 2 are complete in box. So Silent Hill 4 and Silent Hill 2 are complete in box. Beautiful Joe is complete. This is going in the collection. Family Guy is complete, and Code Veronica X was complete. The only ones that were not complete were the Manhunt games and Fatal Frame. So, let's see. What's your favorite story in a game? Damn, that's a good one too. Um, at the risk of sounding redundant, Katana Zero, man. I'm sorry, but that story is trippy. So basically, like you're this guy who has like who you have like this therapist and he gives you this drug. And I think the drug is called Chronos. And Chronos gives you the ability to rewind time. So, or sorry, or slow down time. So in Katana Zero, like it's kind of like a hack and slasher, like a roguelike game where you pretty much have to go through each level's pretty much set up to where you have to figure out how you're going to get past all the guards because there's people like throwing things at you, shooting at you, trying to, hit you with bats and stuff. And it's like one of those things where it's like a one hit kill. So if you get hit once, you're done. So when there's too many enemies or too many like things flying at you, you can use Chronos to slow things down. But the trippy thing about the game is that someone's recording you in the game, like throughout the game, like someone's recording you. Because every time you die, like like the tape rewinds, someone's rewinding the tape to bring you back to life. But you meet with your therapist and like you're like there's this girl that's in the story and I don't know if she's his daughter because it's been a while since I beat Katana Zero. I beat Katana Zero during like COVID. So it's been years. And I know like even when I beat it, there's probably more to discover. Damn, I need to go back and play that game some more. Like I need to see if there's like an alternate ending or something. But the story in Chronos, sorry, for Katana Zero, it reminds me of like the Matrix meets like the butterfly effect type of deal. In a way, that's kind of the vibe that I get from it. Very cool story, like in my opinion, very interesting story. If I had to think of a retro game with a good story, trying to think. I'm trying to think. Um, I mean, I don't know. Nothing's really popping out to me. They were all pretty cool because a lot of the stories back in the 90s were pretty much the same. You were trying to rescue a girl from an evil guy, or you're trying to see, if you were playing a beat 'em up, you were trying to rescue the city from Mr. X or Mr. Y or Mr. W or, you know, all the stories were the same. Like if you think about like Final Fight, Streets of Rage, a lot of the beat 'em ups had the same deal, same story. Let's see, rarest PSP would be the Hilton Hotel Training Sim. Wow. I didn't even know that existed. I did not know that that game existed. I gotta look that one up. Thoughts on Blood Will Tell? Is it good? That's my number one on my wish list. Blood Will Tell actually really is good. It's a really good game. It's a very interesting game, and it feels ahead of its time in a lot of ways. When the game, like in the game, you have to basically defeat these demons. All these demons took different parts of your body. Like so when you start the game off, like your arms and your legs are prosthetic, but each limb has like a different weapon. So like one of your arms is like a machine gun, one is a sword, like your knee is a rocket launcher, like there's all types of stuff. And when the game starts off, you have to get your body parts back to get back to like full strength. But each demon you beat, you get a body part. So like even in the beginning of the game, when you're playing it, it's like in black and white because you don't have your real eyes yet. So it's not until I think you beat like the second or third demon that you get your eyes back and you're able to see in color again. So I think like just the story is sick and Blood Will Tell. That is a pretty good story. It is a really cool story. Also, I like the fact in there that you have like an NPC that works with you. You can have like an NPC that like looks for items for you, so you don't have to run around and find all the items that are in the playing field. They can either find items for you. I think they can help you like fight enemies. And it's not truly open world. Like it can feel open world at times, but it is a linear game, but it's open just enough. There's enough territory for you to explore for it to feel somewhat open, even though it's really not. And I think there's like just like little nuances of the game, like the different RPG elements, the way you can upgrade attributes and things like that. Blood Will Tell is a top tier PlayStation 2 game. Like I think it's one of those rare cases where I understand why it's so expensive because it's a damn good game. Like it's a really good game. If that answers your question about Blood Will Tell. House of the Dead 2 remake came out this week for Switch. I gotta check that out. Do I have House of the Dead 2? I think I have House of the Dead 2 on the Dreamcast. Yeah, I think I have it on the Dreamcast. I can't remember. Chris Espinosa, what is your most rarest PS3? Which one don't you play a lot? Let me know. What's my rarest PS3 game? Rarest PS3 game. My PS3 stuff is down there. It's on the bottom shelf. Probably my rarest PS3 game. I don't know. I don't feel like the PS3 has hit like rarity like that yet. I don't know if like there's any PS3 game that I have that I would say is like, oh, this is really rare because it's really not. Like I don't think any of them are really rare like that. But if I had to pick one, I would probably say I don't know, maybe 50 Cent Blood on the Sand maybe? Because I haven't that's one PS3 game that I haven't really seen a lot of in the wild. Like I've seen all the other PS3 games a lot, like the Saw games, the Godfather, Don's Edition, the Spider-Man games, Splatterhouse. You know, I've seen those games a good amount of times, like Armored Core, Wolverine. You know, I've seen a lot of those. I have a couple of limited edition, like Metal Gear Solid 4, the one that comes with the Blu-ray DVD. I do have that. I don't know if that's really rare, but I would probably say 50 Cent Blood on the Sand is probably. And which one don't you play a lot on the PlayStation 3? Which one don't I play a lot? A lot of them I don't play a lot, if I'm being purely honest with you. I just don't find myself playing a lot of PlayStation 3. But the one that I probably would play the least is the Metal Gear Solid Collection. I do have that Metal Gear Solid Collection disc, and I don't really play that a ton. Bread Cred, what's your favorite shooter? You mean like space shooter? Like shoot 'em up game? If you're saying space shooter, it would be Hyperduel. That's my favorite shooter. Rob Jeff said, have you ever played Blasphemous? I sure have. I beat Blasphemous around this time last year. Last Thanksgiving, I was in Denver when I beat Blasphemous. I took a flight to Denver and I brought my Switch Lite with me, and I only brought one game, and that was Blasphemous because I knew I was very close to beating it, and so I beat it during. I think I posted it on my chat. I think I have a post up somewhere about that on the day I beat Blasphemous. But yeah, I beat it last year. It is probably one of my favorite Switch games, if not my favorite Switch game. I love Blasphemous, everything about it, from the music to the sound effects to the voice acting. I love the fact that the cutscenes are rendered in 2D pixel art and that they didn't like switch to some like hand drawn style of cutscenes, because that's what they did in Blasphemous 2, and I feel like that cheapened it. It really did. Like I really feel like it cheapened it when they came with these like cartoonish looking cutscenes. I hated that. Hated it. In Blasphemous, the original, all the cutscenes were done in a 2D pixelated style, and that just, for some reason, it just maintained the integrity of the game, like the quality of the game to me in some way. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You guys let me know what you think, but I don't like the fact that they did that in Blasphemous 2. And like as soon as I saw that first cutscene, I was like cheapened. It cheapened it. It cheapened the experience to me. I don't know why. Maybe that's just me. Why is Blasphemous like 120 physical for the Switch? Because it's a damn good game. Blasphemous, the original, it's good, man. That's a good game. Play it, and you'll know why. It's a very good game. Blasphemous has a lot of just. It's expansive. It's broad. It's a very large playing field, and I like how they connect the different areas. It is a bit of a collectathon, and the way the levels are designed, you need to equip certain things to get through certain levels. Like for instance, there's a number of different like shafts, like elevator shafts in Blasphemous. And if you like ordinarily, if you fall into the shaft, it's immediate death. But there's like an attribute that you can equip that will allow you to fall through the shaft. And having that is amazing because it could actually help you get from one area to the next rather quickly. You know what I mean? Because now you don't have to go the long way. You could just literally drop down the elevator shaft. So just little things like that, or like there's different things that you can equip in Blasphemous that reveal like hidden steps. You know, like levitating steps that are made of like what look like blood, that you can like jump on to get new items and unlock new abilities. I beat the game without beating one of the bosses. There's a boss that you have to fight. It's a lady, and I no matter how many times I tried, I kept losing. But I think it's because I didn't max out my HP and my magic attacks, and I didn't unlock all of my magic attacks. So there's a magic attack that I really need to get to stop her. So even though I beat the game, I didn't get like the full ending. There's more for me to do there. But Blasphemous is a top tier game, man. It's one of those games again that I'm like, I get why this game is expensive because it's a damn good game. Um, Hunt Down is sick. Charles Hollis says, "Yeah, Hunt Down is sick. That's another damn good game." Good thing is Hunt Down isn't expensive. That's relatively still cheap. You could get Hunt Down for like $40, so go grab it before it goes up. Crypt Custodian is fun. It's like Zelda. I have to check that one out. I have not heard of it. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Best Racer. I gotta check that one out. I got Blasphemous on the Switch for $6.99. Damn, go you. Burnout 3 is my fave. Digital or physical. Absalom is the new roguelike beat 'em up that came out recently. Scar, you be putting me on to all types of stuff, bro. I think you left a comment the other day. I think Neon something. I gotta check that out. I'm waiting. I think I might start collecting for the Switch again next year. And I think I might start doing a lot more Switch content in the new year. Because I'm kind of running out of stuff to get on the PlayStation 2 and like Gen 6. So I might go back to the Switch next year and we might start building content around Switch. I gotta see. Sandbear, what's going on? Hello. Will this live stream be uploaded to your channel? Thank you for your response to your personal Switch game recommendation. The next game I was looking to get were Shantae, Half Genie Hero, Shovel Knight. Shantae is a good one. I would get Shantae. I've had Shantae, but I sold it. Yeah, this live stream will get uploaded. Check Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. It's pricey now. Yeah, I had that one. I sold. I'm so mad. Like I sold some of the most expensive Switch games that are the games that are expensive now on the Switch. I sold, and I had to get a couple of them back. But there are a couple that I kept that are now really expensive. Like Inmost, I almost sold my copy of Inmost for like $40. I'm so glad that I didn't because it's ridiculously expensive to get it back now. Same thing with Stirred and Binary Stars. Some of these games are like crazy expensive now. What is my favorite Metroidvania style game? Probably Symphony of the Night. Maybe. I gotta think about that one. Metroidvania? Well, I guess you could say Blasphemous, because Blasphemous is technically a Metroidvania. I mean, I love Symphony of the Night, but if I'm being honest, I like Blasphemous more. So I don't know. Hey, 2K, just curious, do you clean your games when you get them? That's funny. I do. I don't always clean them before I film them though. So if I just went and got a haul, like today, I just picked all of these up literally like an hour ago. So if I'm doing a live or if I'm going to make a video, I'll just showcase them and then clean them later. But ever since COVID, I always take a Lysol wipe, and I usually wipe all my games down before I actually put them into my collection, like on the shelf. Before they hit my shelf, yeah, they get a wipe down. Iron Man Guy 2000, hello, what's going on, man? Man, just wish Katana Zero had a physical release, but I might make an exception. Yeah, get it, bro. Get it. Like, I know it's not physical yet, but just play it. Like, that's one of those cases where I'd rather play it than collect it, or at least until I can get a physical. When it gets a physical release, oh, that game is going to fly off the shelf. That's going to be an expensive one. Seriously, Katana Zero is awesome. I wanted to get Manhunt 2 on the PS2, but it goes for a lot of money now, so I'll probably never get it. Yeah, for some reason it is pretty expensive. Rockstar needs to release their classics like Manhunt 1, 2, Bully Midnight Club, GTA 6, getting delayed. Makes sense. I agree. Ace this Silver, what's going on, man? Ralph Taylor, what's going on? Native Guy, how is X-Men Origins Wolverine on PS3? I have it on 360. It lags at times. It plays pretty good on the PlayStation 3. Uncaged Edition is sick, man. It's a really good game. Like, yeah, that's another one that's a really good game. I think it's a good one. Jackbat, what's going on? Why don't they do another print run of Blasphemous if they know the demand would be there? Because they did already. They did 2 runs of it. They did the original run through limited run for Blasphemous. Those were the first print. Then they did a second run with Team 17, and that had all of the DLC on it. And then they did another run of Blasphemous, and that was when they dropped it on the Switch, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. So they've done multiple runs of Blasphemous in the past. Like, I remember when it was just sitting on shelves. Like, you could go in and just buy it. It wasn't rare at all. But I knew once they stopped printing them, they would go back up. And sure enough, prices of that game did go back up. Hey 2K, been a fan of your content for years. You bring a lot of wisdom to the gaming community. Thanks. I don't know a lot. Like, I don't really know a lot about games. There's so many people who know so much more about video games than me. Radical Reggie, what's the dude? Sega Lord X. There's so many YouTubers who know more about video games than I do from a fundamental standpoint. I just know what's fun to me. And I know what looks cool to me. Like, I know when I walk in a store and I see, like, oh, I'm like, damn, this game looks dope. Like, this looks sick. And I go from there, you know? And I think that's what most people do. Like, if you've got like a regular life, you're not like studying games and stuff like that. But I appreciate the comment, man. Do you have a fat PS3? If so, do you recommend it, or should you just go with the slim? Yeah, bro. I've got a backwards compatible PlayStation 3 right there, and then I've got another backwards compatible one right there on the floor right there. I've got two. The first one, this one I got for 113. I got this for 100, basically 110. No, I'm lying because I use coupons. So this backwards compatible PS3 I got for $80 at GameStop, and the other one I think I got for like $160 at a thrift store or something like that. Yeah, they play great. They play great. I think I even have a slim one. Yeah, I got a slim one. I got a slim PS3 right there. Yeah, I got a Slim Jim. Old Slim Jim. But guys, I'm getting a notification that my phone is about to die, and I don't want it to cut off. Every time I do these live streams, I go longer than anticipated, and then it winds up cutting off. So before this cuts off, hope you guys have an awesome, awesome weekend. I saw that a few folks have gone live, so I know there's a bunch of live streams going on right now. I think Heck and Steve has a live going on. I might check his out. I think PlayStation 8 Dead Podcast also just started a live stream, so I might go check them out. Hopefully you guys go enjoy those live streams. Spread the love. Enjoy the weekend. I'll catch you in the next one.